Hi guys, Cameron here. I don't just read comics. I love them. Welcome back to another episode of Cameron Reads Comics. On today's episode, I'm talking about Absolute Batman Annual #1 by Daniel Warren Johnson, James Harren, and Meredith McClaren. Really great issue. A pretty outstanding annual. In the issue, there's 3 different stories. One by Daniel Warren Johnson, one by James Harren, and one by Meredith McClaren. A really just interesting dive into the world and the characters that are in the Absolute Batman universe. First and foremost, we have Daniel Warren Johnson's story, which I think for a lot of people is the big draw here. It was announced at San Diego Comic-Con that he would be doing this issue, and so he did. And I love Daniel Warren Johnson because he doesn't tell very complex stories, and I mean that in a good way. It's a simple story with just a gut punch, stories don't need to be so complicated and have all these layers to them. It can just be a simple, I thought this annual, the theme was about sons and fathers. The James Harren story and in this one. Daniel Warren Johnson just hit it out of the park. If you haven't seen the uproar about it online, briefly, the story is kind of about a group of what could be considered, what are white nationalists or Nazis in this universe, and Batman coming in to break them up. He's like a stranger in town. He comes in to freaking break up their violence towards others. It's the story of whether or not his abuse to them went too far, and it's him grappling with that, with his idea of how his dad's legacy is perpetuated by him. What kind of force is Batman? It's a really great exploration, and Daniel Warren Johnson does it incredibly well. Art is incredible. Daniel Warren Johnson, Mike Spicer on colors. Just a great story that I think everyone should read. At least if you're into Absolute Batman and you're into Daniel Warren Johnson, which everyone should be, don't miss this one. Then there's James Harren. I haven't read any James Harren. I do have volume 1 of Ultramega, which is supposed to be a really insane, awesome kaiju book. So to see his name on this book too, I was pretty impressed. James Harren wrote and drew this story, and I think he did a great job. This one's a little bit different. It's kind of going back to the Black Mask Gang and them doing a break-in to a home, a son trying to rob his father. And that one is pretty incredible because how Harren depicts some of the horror elements of Batman and how scary his presence would be if you are working against him, explored in really fun ways in this story. So I really enjoyed that. So if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely go check this one out because that story was really good. I thought the art style was also just incredible. The color palettes that they use are really well done. And the last story was done by Meredith McClaren. It's very much like a 3-page story, kind of the idea of bats. Here's a bunch of facts about bats, along with some panels that cut to Batman doing stuff throughout the city and how he is like a bat. And that is really what that story is about. So, very good annual issue. Highly recommend for anyone who's into the Absolute Batman universe. Don't miss this. It's a good little addition. One of the strengths that the Absolute universe does that, in my opinion, the Ultimate universe doesn't is if we have a spare issue and it's not going to be Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta, they're going to do Daniel Warren Johnson. Or if Nick Dragotta can't do the art, they've had Clayman, they've had Marcos Martin on the book, they've had Gabriel Walta. So I guess the fill-in artist on these fill-in arcs is they're bringing in A-list talent. This book, they want it to be a success, so what do? They put A-list talent on the dang thing the entire time it's going. It's incredible. So that's what I want for this book, and I'm so stoked that DC's, and they're also honoring indie creators. When it comes to the Absolute Universe line, that's my main thought is DC is treating it like it deserves to be treated. They're actually upholding this initiative. It wasn't just to sell issue #1s. It is, okay, here's a universe and we're gonna build it out. Marvel's okay, here's a great universe. It's selling a ton. Let's end it. And if our main guys can't be on it, we're gonna get some talent that really doesn't kind of line up. DC is not doing that. They're just okay, let's use this let's use the absolute universe as a rising tide to lift all ships, which is really what I'm seeing the most of. And I love about the absolute universe. I'm just like, yes. I've never seen Nick Dragotta's art prior to the absolute universe. So just seeing him, I'm like, oh, cool. Like a guy that was doing indies for a long time. And I know he'd done other stuff. I know he did a Superman book, but I'm like, dude, you are gnarly. And then Hayden Sherman coming out of the woodworks. And I think Rafa Sandoval, who's an in-house DC talent, and finally being on, not finally, but being on a Superman book, he should get some flowers. I think his art is incredible. But while we're doing this, hey guys, do you know who James Harren is? Go check out what he's doing. You know, we're going to give him a moment in spotlight. And I'm like, that is the point of all of it, in my opinion. I just think that, like, that's what these books should be doing. It's like, let's get unrecognized talent and make them recognized. This issue is a great example of that. And I'm just so glad to see talent being rewarded. It's because of stuff like It's because of stuff like this that James Tynion was able to blow up. That guy was living in Scott Snyder's shadow, in my opinion, for a long time. Because he did Batman Eternal, he did Batman and Robin Eternal, and James just took all this stuff that Scott Snyder attached his name to, and guess what? James blew up. And then when he got his chance to do his own book, Something's Killing the Children, he exploded with popularity. And it's like, oh, he is a force to be reckoned with. And it's because of Scott's using his platform to bring other people into the spotlight. And I'm like, do I think James Tynion always deserved to be in those rooms? Yes. It's just really cool to see creators lifting other creators that deserve fame and glory up. So I love to see that that's what the Absolute Universe is doing. I love to see that, like, so many people are going to make names for themselves because of this universe. And I care about that more than I even care about Absolute Batman. Like, Absolute Batman is a very good story, and I'm like, wow, did I think it was going to be as good as it is? No! I told Scott Snyder at San Diego Comic-Con, I'm like, I'm not sold on this. It took until seeing your panel, like, I wasn't into it until I saw your panel. And that's true, because I'm like, oh, some of this art is actually really cool. And, like, conceptually, I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. And then everyone loves it, which is something that makes me want to be like, I don't know, convince me. It's great. Great comic books. Excited to read it every month, so love it. Okay, that's my soapbox. That's my review of Absolute Batman. Go pick it up. It's really, really, really good. I don't think you need to know anything about the Absolute Universe going in, so just check it out. My name's Cameron. I don't just read comics. I love them. See you guys next time.